Well, YouTube studio, I am trying. Hey, hi. Welcome to Full Crazy Town, episode 19. I'm the mayor of Full Crazy Town, Stephen Cole. And today we'll be talking about the big difference in the media and the narrative since Trump's inauguration. It's a different level of deception, believe me. The Dems and the Repugs have their different ways of saying the same message. But with the Dems, it was all lies all the time, never admit mistakes, double, triple, quadruple down. No prisoners. Remember the quote from Kurt Strangio? That's a hill I will die on, the DEI thing. The Repugs just kind of dismisses, oh, that Donald J. Trump. The Dems never know what to make of him. This is so great. Uh, MAGA, vengeance is finally ours. So, what if Trump does a few naughty things on the side that everybody else does? He just gets the blame, like genocide. Instead of saying, he's lying, as far as how I was reacting to most of the CNN, MSNBC stuff, he's lying, they're lying. Now it's pretty much he's telling the truth. Tulsi Gabbard or RFK or Trump or somebody, at least at times, certain points in time, they do tell the truth about an issue or two. But since the last week's podcast, we had Aaron Mate on the Due Dissidents show talking about Ali Abunimah, arrested, raided, detained, censored, deplatformed. Um, Ali is an American. He was detained in Switzerland. What's Trump's reaction? Crickets. And then free speech. Remember, we're going to finally get, Twitter, Alex Jones, and free speech. Not so much, but here, as far as Ali goes. There were some other journalists that were mentioned. Um, Somebody named Stanley, Richard Medhurst, both arrested in the UK. Sarah Wilkerson, Mary Kay in Australia, accused of anti-Semitism. It is getting scarier and scarier, more and more nightmarish, and more dystopian. Every bit of what Orwell said in 1984. Long time ago. We're overdue. God, they built the censorship infrastructure with the DEI issues. And so they established then consequences for violations of thought crimes. So now the thought crimes are coming back on the progressive left instead of just hammering right wingers, Republicans. So you built infrastructure, thought crimes, hate speech. You can't say free Palestine on TikTok. You can be charged with terrorism or thought crimes, hate speech. Isn't it ironic? TikTok banned, then reinstated. When they were reinstated, they restricted the phrase free Palestine, banned for free speech because of they wanted, and then they came back and they didn't want free speech. What's it all about? This was so. This is the one. Yeah. Project Stargate. Ooh, Star Trek, outer space. Is this like Reagan's? What did you call his little outer space escapades? But this is about Project Stargate. The day before the DeepSeek made their announcement about AI. So here's Larry Ellison of Oracle, CEO of everything. This AI project, he said, would be. He introduced Masayoshi was some guy from SoftBank, I guess, Masayoshi, to introduce open AI, $500 billion in new structures, create jobs, massive benefits for all. Yay, we're saved. Yeah, SoftBank's Masayoshi is will become chairman. But Elon and Sam Altman were arguing before this. Who should run OpenAI? Musk has uh, his own business, his own AI business. He was trying to stop OpenAI's plans using lawfare to favor his own AI plant. Another AI developer in this mix is called Crusoe. I don't know in what way or how much money. There was a 180 billion, one person, 80 billion. I'm coming right to it. They come across as being all concerned with green energy, future contracts, influence, and everything. But you get people like Microsoft, NVIDIA involved. Satya Nadella put in $80 billion as opposed to DeepSeek's investment of $5 million. You hear what the response to that was? Is like, it was more than 5 million. All these lies you're always telling, it was a lot more. It was like 5.85 million, maybe. And then Larry Ellison goes right into we'll use mRNA vaccine to cure and detect cancer using AI. Detect it first, then cure it, on the spot, same diagnosis, probably, treatment. That we'll have individualized vaccines with our name on the little vial, and that's special. Data-based structures. And we'll have the big pharma and big med will have limitless behavioral modification potential and control. Larry likes it. He says citizens will need to be on their best behavior. Their bank accounts could be shut down, seized, and they have to buy the right things, say the right things online, do the right thing, just like Spike Lee didn't say. Anyway, God, best behavior, says Larry. Total surveillance state is what he's talking about. They'll be watched by AI, and robots will make arrests, and you'll be automatically notified that your bank account is frozen until you do 3 mea culpas. There's a program called 4IR. That's all similar to the Great Reset, World Economic Forum. Basically, public-private partnerships, crony capitalism, monopolies, the free market over any direction it wants. Dangerous times, says Russell Dobular. Our days may be numbered. I'm really, I have to hand it to Russ to he gets ahead of these issues like 6 to 12 months before other people. Hey, that guy was there, man, it really is bad. Total totalitarianism is on the way. Elon Musk, most powerful person in the world, richest equals most powerful. He could primary anyone 4 times over. He's much bigger than AIPAC, and that's the way AIPAC manages their control. Discussion, capping wealth at 200 million. Yeah, pie in the sky. What's that nursery? If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. If watches were turnips, I'd wear one by my side. Oh, if only, if only. Woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff is really hardly worth discussion unless we better get out of the way or we could be squashed as this runaway freight train bears down on us. We used to tax businesses at 90% back in Eisenhower's day to keep the Elon Musks away. Then let's see, the discussion got into Title VI, which prohibits discrimination based on race, color, or national origin the, for programs that receive federal funding. um, Harvard's DEI policy excluded Jewish students, but then there's a new definition of anti Semitism. Bad news for free speech at Harvard. You already have lawsuits. So I guess Harvard was trying to hang, not valuing Jewish people more than Gazans. I mean, just, people are people, right? But you had these two lawsuits, students against anti Semitism, against Harvard's anti Semitism policy. And the second suit, I guess some lawyer named Kenneth did this, helps expand Title VI to include ethnicity. Ethnicity, hey, what? I wrote down, I took some notes here somewhere about this, about the differences between ethnicity and race and something else. But of course, gone forever. That's okay. I got to get going. I can only spend about 10 minutes per page here, so I got to move. Title VI, anti-Semitic free speech, lawsuits. Payouts go to the group with the most influence. So if the certain student groups can prove that Harvard failed to protect Jewish students, lawsuit. Sabby Sabs comes on and said Jews are uniquely assisted in everything they do, almost everything. Blacks can't get this kind of help. Brown people, Gazans, no, I can't get special, uniquely assisted. We don't get that, or they don't get that. Excuse me. Jesus. New new definition includes examples, free speech threats, can't accuse Jews unjustly, can't criticize the state of Israel, can't compare a professor forced out over his criticism of Israel. I guess that was recently memes, but it's no doubt that the word is getting out now about these cities, that these border states into New York City and Chicago and places. I'm not quite sure how many. I'm pretty sure it's hundreds of thousands over the last 5 to 10 years. But some of these people, like tens of thousands, got put down right in the middle of these impoverished neighborhoods, sometimes kicking out vets or other people in these buildings and putting the homeless people in with a debit card for $5,000 a month, free health care, often helping with jobs, not full-time wage, kind of off the books, bring the wages down, the ability of the workers to go on strike, bring that down too. Anyway, the big picture brought down to, and Kit Cabello and Cat Williams, Kit Kat, report about how this creates chaos in the inner cities, that the blacks and the brown people just really pissed off. We've been asking for these, just a portion of what you just handed for decades. We'll tell you what we're doing. We're screwing you over again. Ha ha. It gets all the way down to when it comes to immigrants and labor, the cheap labor, slave. It's just a matter of about 10 steps once you get under minimum wage, $7.25. And once you're into slave labor, you're into human trafficking, where your people are kind of just bought and sold according to whatever they can produce for the owners. And trafficking, work trafficking leads to sex trafficking, leads to underage sex trafficking, leads to ritual blackmail. It's hard for me to even think about, let alone talk about, as you can tell. Oppressed minorities really hate that policy of giving benefits to illegal workers. There's been a flood of prisoners flown to the United States. We have an M13, not El Salvador, says Kurt Metzger. We've got them. They're here. They're not down in Lebanon anymore. They ran everybody out of there up here. Now they're taking over the detention centers and the streets here. The Pritzkers from the Hyatt Hotel infamy, who stole Japanese property during World War II. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, and the family, one of the 10 wealthiest families in the United States or in the world, who knows? They were the ones that especially wanted gender affirming care for kids and for undocumented children. See how they're kind of conflating immigration with trans issues and trans rights activists who vaulting to the top at the pier and not just bean picking jobs, but everyday jobs that a lot of white people who are underemployed, unemployed would gladly take, but not at slave wages. So now they're spreading the rumors that ICE agents are arresting workers. So many workers are not showing up for work. And I guess this maybe lasted a week or two. But once they weren't clearing out the factories or the bean fields, and they were actually interviewing some sexual predators that were being deported, Dr. Phil on the street. But still, with uncertainty, the food services, the supply lines, the goods and services are at risk. Many factories are still recovering from the scare. In the supply chain problems will lead to more inflation. And the left wants higher wages. $7.25, they should have at least $8. Never mind, it takes like 25, three times that to get by or call it a living wage. It's about $25, 30, 32 I've heard. Anyway, the lefties want higher wages for slave laborers. Makes them right for exploitation, and the argument going, Americans don't want these bean picking jobs. They won't do them. If there's how many half of America working class are poor working class? I know I've of businesses hire millions of illegals who will work for less and won't organize. Lots of money for scams and schemes like lawfare, mergers and acquisitions, monopolies. How can we make money off the biotech pandemic, vaccines? Hey, whoa, wait, they're safe and effective. YouTube's safe and effective. But that will be coming out in court. And so I'm not saying any way, which way that I want the decision to go. No minimum raise since 1980. Productivity went up, but not wages. Biden flew in hundreds of thousands illegal immigrants. Millions more came in over the years. And it just goes back whether you're for or against immigration. If you're on CNN or MSNBC, they just, well, if you're for, that means this, and if you're against, then that means that. And they're not arguing. So you get Dana Bash, whose husband, agents whose clearance was pulled by Trump, and they were one of the 51 expert agents who investigated the Hunter Biden laptop issue and recommended, or no, stated unequivocally, it was Russian Mhm. Well, yeah, Dana, she, it's amazing how they come up with these little side arguments to take, the focus off the main narrative. Dana was interviewing a guy who was refuting government stats. She said ICE said millions were being sent back across the border, but the guy she was interviewing said most of those were arrested trying to enter the United States. They weren't rounded up in Chicago and New York and bust or flown. Oh, they were, you're trying to come into this country, you're under arrest. Now we're going to deport you 16 steps back across the border. So that's where those stats came from. And it's just stupid, shameful, and way, way too obvious. Um, Capitalists and oligarchs promote raising the minimum wage because the living wage is at least 3 to 4 times higher than 7.25 to the immigrants. But maybe percent would be a lot. Populists versus the establishment, people versus the power. You have Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, has no plan to solve the sanctuary crisis. They closed 54 public schools in Chicago due to lack of funds after giving billions for sure to unregistered and undocumented workers. Can't take care of their own poor, inner city poor, in squalor infrastructures. Let's dump a few thousand more in and kick some more people out on the street and cause chaos. And then they'll remember the good old days. uh, anyway, can't solve the problem, can't take care of their own, let alone the thousands of desperate migrants. Chicago blacks especially pissed off about their tax money going to the illegals. They go to these city council meetings and just raise holy hell, and the black mayor has them hauled out forcibly. Talk about la 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 la. I can't hear you. Um, the 5 million that was given out to him was just the latest tranche. Don't you love that money? A tranche. That was $40 billion tranche went out to Ukraine last year. Tranche. Blair White comes in with an immigrant stat: 300,000 missing children at the border. Boy, anytime you start talking about Planned Parenthood or these adults that have the answer to all these problems and then all this bullshit leads to human trafficking, sex trafficking, slave labor, underage sex trafficking, sacrifice, secret societies. These probably thousands of secret societies now. I mean, I consider the World Economic different direction. But that had the plan all along. Fund Hamas like Al Qaeda, and when they attack, go for a cleansing, greater Israel. Just like in Dresden, you bomb civilians to break their spirit. Self-defense narrative has finally been thoroughly debunked. Other news: NVIDIA to the tune, or a DeepSeek opens up AI the day after AI said, "Oh, we're only going to cost 40 billion and a half trillion." But when DeepSeek said they're opening up their program for free and only cost 5 million to develop, it caused the biggest one-day drop in the stock market ever. Analysis: innovation is not solely driven by business. It also needs curiosity and a desire to create. In relation to, okay, this is in relation to the DEI hires. And, Trump goes off on this every chance he gets. To helicopter and a plane, must be the DEI hires. They're not hiring for merit. They're just hiring because they're making quotas. But there has been some of that. And that's not saying every case of every disaster is, but um, what was the curiosity and desire? This was something that who used that? I think that was Open AI. Let me just read this and see if it jogs something. Um, they were doing an analysis of the deep seeks and how it tanked Open AI. And I know the DEI people are arguing, like Costco's board of directors arguing that diverse employees, this is in quotes, diverse employees and suppliers fuel innovation. Really? If you're automatically a Thomas Edison innovation? But then I went back and I kind of said, oops, I should have said the Costco board quote first, and then saying innovation is not solely driven by business. It also needs curiosity and a desire to create offers. Really? Search done on these. Hey, look how innovative. Oh, he's more curious than she is. How do they know that? So far, Meta, Walmart, Target, McDonald's, Ford, Starbucks have cut back, or in some have cut out their DEI programs, quotas, set asides, preferential hiring for middlemen. Strange. Kind of, I'm not going to say. She came on after Nick, RBN's Nick, and this econ guy. And the econ guy says, I just came back from a long stay in China, and they wonder, like, you Americans have guns. Like in China, they poison, they kill that they don't like. I mean, it's kind of like the Japanese protests against nukes in the 70s. You couldn't tell the protesters from the military police, shields, batons, helmets, and eye guards. Anyway, the Chinese fight back. They don't sit around. Well, if the oligarch, the boss says, I guess I should, better watch my tongue on the job. Why don't you make the execs pay you a higher wage, better benefits? Nick comes off and he used the term, I was a teenage shit lib, which kind of reminded me of a horror film. But he used that term, and he said, he was a Bernie bro, and he, in 2016, and still thought there was hope. After he demonized the COVID crisis, saying it came from their and they careless, and if there was a lab leak, and it's all their fault. They come back, oh, this is for the betterment of society, like our Belt and Road initiatives. Jimmy Dore, January 29th, talks about the RFK hearings, Tulsi hearings. Well, those were fascinating. I mean, they speak for themselves, but there finally were some things said. Like I said, the new everything can't stop them, so we'll just rant and rave and complain. The Dems are for the great resistance, and that means weenies like the new Democratic National Committee chairman, Zionist weenie. But then I shouldn't talk about this. I'm going to run out of time. Jesus. I'm not going to talk about it then. Anyway, Mike McRae did a good voice impression of Alec Baldwin, and then who else? Somebody else. Chuck Schumer. Oh, he does a good Chuck Schumer. The best. Anyway, then there was, God, this is just Matt Taibbi. I mean, he's been on like the Twitter files and Hamilton 68, and he was on this Global Economic or Global Engagement Center, GEC, 10 years ago. And it led to their he was supposed to be dead, but no, domestic speed deal to counter foreign misinformation hubs. The 51 employees are at fault, complicit in the refunding name change. Oh, name change, I guess, just was from GEC to Britain's index. Trump, let's see, what is it? Trump wants to ban feds from canceling speech. So we'll see. Again, a lot of this is, you know, the audience waits with bated breath. Scoring. Companies are rated along establishment lines. Goals. They rank some up, rank others down, determined to see who gets the ad revenue. That's the content scoring. Kate Starbird, remember at WNBA? She works with GEC. Even though they've been banned, they're still being funded, and they had like their departments scattered across the deep state secretive society or secretive State Department. She's on about restriction of speech, smearing, type of censorship. State Department can't do it directly, but they can contract with the UK and funding that's limitless, unaccountable. Then the drones in New Jersey were authorized by the FAA. Another big lie. Big lies have to get wackier and wackier. I say this in my book. All the way to full crazy town. More fear mongering, more panic, more hate, more par usual chaos. Makes the panic lead to military units in American cities, states of emergency, martial law, domestic terrorism. Obama was known as the deporter in chief. He deported more than Trump ever could. And then Joe started bringing them all in again after he won, or sort of won. Anyway, now we have Trump, so no matter what the issue is, if he's for it, Democrats, CNN against it. Chris Hedges did a really good, God dang. I did a real good essay on good and evil. And basically, there's good and evil in every act, almost every tragedy, every war, certainly. And so he said, just fight the evil and take the good to give you more energy to fight the evil. That was basically what it was all about. Then there was more on techno-feudalism, what killed capitalism. 2008 signaled, yes, 2008 signaled the weak foundations of modern capitalism in the hands of the greedy, untethered financial. The money never goes to them asses. The masses. Instead, shares were bought back in traditional capitalist industries and in emerging the Bezoses, Microsoft, Googles of the world. Cloud capital. He's a former member of the Greek Parliament, Minister of Finance, calls capitalism's replacement techno-feudalism. That's what his book's called. He says the two pillars of capitalism, markets and profits, have been replaced, and a familiar system of fiefdoms and serfs has emerged. Markets have been replaced by these digital platforms that look like markets, but are not. They're more like digital or cloud fiefdoms like Amazon and Alibaba, where you have digital fences keeping within it producers, consumers, artisans, intellectuals. We're all producing value for the owner of that digital fiefdom. Huge amount of investment in phones, laptops, cell towers, servers, farms, and thousands of miles of optic fiber cables has brought about a system that now dominates all parts of our lives. The most common platform used today, Instagram, Google, Amazon, etc., platforms used today, use their automated systems to produce tailor-made ads which are in dialectical relationship with us. So we're basically telling uh, the that and the other, whatever I'm talking to my innermost friends about. He talks about private equity firms like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, how they tap into this system of rentier capitalism, do away with competition, parasitically exploiting working people and traditional capitalists alike. So this is where mergers and acquisitions come in. Like you have, mom and pop businesses get all pulled in with these acquisitions, and then before long you have a monopoly. Narratives, drones turn out to be authorized by the FAA, helicopter plane crash, global warming, or a busy airport, or how dare Trump say it was because of something else. Something to talk about there. I have many friends who are Masons, and when I retired from running the OCF Navy, the new admiral almost immediately turned the crew leadership over to a fellow Mason. Okay, by me. In fact, I joined Scottish Rite Lodge, although I'm failing to. So, no secrets for me. However, I wonder about these reports about the Freemasons coming from the Knights Templar. We're including the worshiping of Baphomet et al. And about secret societies, the light of the universe, or some such, bringing goodness for all through our magical intelligence. Anyway, I get tired of all that stuff. Too easy to say you're the bride. If you are the bride, if you will do something, don't think I'm the best, I'm the smartest. You must believe me. Whitney Webb on Redacted talks about Bill Gates sucking up to Trump, Wall Street journalists adjusting to Trump. And these are the people who, before the election, he's Hitler, he's dangerous. I wouldn't be